Let me clear up one of the most weaponized myths in history. You've all heard the line, Africans sold Africans, so Europeans weren't worse. But that argument collapses the moment you stop applying modern racial categories to a pre-colonial world that didn't think in racial terms. It's important to remember that Africa wasn't a monolith. It was a continent of individual nations, kingdoms, empires, and ethnic groups. This idea of black unity didn't exist because there was no black race in the European sense. People identified themselves as their individual specific ethnic group, the same way that Europeans identified themselves as Spanish, Portuguese. And here's the part that people never talk about. Some of these African kingdoms were the size of modern European nations or even bigger. The Benin Kingdom rivaled medieval Portugal in territory and organization, and the Mali Empire spanned an area larger than Western Europe. So when two African states were at war, you're not talking about black people selling black people, you're talking about independent nations with different languages, different religions, different cultures engaged in warfare, the same way Europe was. It's no different from England versus France in the 100 Years' War. They killed each other, captured each other, sold prisoners, and no one today says Europeans sold Europeans. Because you understand national difference in Europe. Africa deserves the same contextual respect. These are some of the historical facts. The Portuguese started the Atlantic slave trade through kidnapping. In the mid-1400s, the Portuguese raided Senegal and the Gambia, taking people by force. This wasn't trade, this was armed abduction. And number two, African resistance was constant, and this is the important part. Europe introduced something Africa had never seen before. They introduced racial-based, hereditary, hierarchical, industrial slavery designed to fuel a global capitalist system. This was not comparable to regional warfare. Number four, this idea of a black race was a European invention used to justify mass extraction and turn human beings into a permanent labor class. Africa didn't see itself that way. Europe created the category and used it to rewrite the story. Saying Africans sold Africans is like saying Europeans killed Europeans in World War I and World War II. It's technically true, but completely meaningless without acknowledging nationhood, scale, power, technology, and global structures, as well as historical context. Europe didn't enslave Africans because Africans sold each other. Europe enslaved Africans because of profit, racial ideology, and imperial expansion. Local conflicts didn't create the slave trade, European demand did. And that's something that we need to remember. So don't let anyone weaponize your history. African wars were not the cause of the transatlantic system. The system reshaped African wars. It turned prisoners of conflict, a universal historical norm, into global commodities on a scale that the world had never seen before. This was Europe's doing, not Africa's design. The Africans sold Africans argument is not history, it's deflection. Africa did not create the transatlantic slave trade. Europe industrialized it, racialized it, and built the modern world on it.